Some of you might be interested in the news articles and what's being published out there and the frequency of which topics have been published. So I found this really cool API called News API, and this collates hundreds and hundreds of publications like New York Times and um, your USA Today and all sorts of um, web news sites as well. And you can go ahead and find a lot of information about the frequency of which some of things are being talked about and discussed. So anyways, you got to start by making an account. You got to get an API key. And you can go ahead and click on documentation and you can start seeing what you can do. So I think one of the easier, not easier, but they're all kind of easy, but you can see here if I click everything. So here's a bunch of sample API calls here. Q meaning some sort of query for the word Bitcoin. And you've got your API key here, and you can see an example um, request. And you can see all down here, there's all the different types of parameters that you can give it. How many pages, page size, sources, the types of magazines. You can also click on sources here, and you can see just run this one line, and you'll see that there are a whole bunch of different sources that will be returned. This is essentially just the types of magazines and news stations that are writing articles that are part of this API. And so anyways, you can just scroll through here and see all different kinds of examples, tons of examples. So this API is pretty easy to work with because they have so many things. You can stick to top headlines. Anyways, so here's an example call that I wrote. So I have my hidden key here, and here's a for loop that I wrote. So here's the base URL, and I'm querying for articles about global warming. I sort by popularity. I have page numbers and my API key. So that's just about it. I can add other things from in terms of dates. I can say what sources I want, what kinds of magazines. I can look at the differences between Breitbart, which is a conservative magazine, to let's say the New York Times. I can start counting. I can maybe even jump in here into, so here's the example call, but I can maybe even jump in here to what the title of the article is, but I could definitely count how many articles there have been from 1 month to the next. So this one's pretty cool. So I encourage you to look at this one as well.